tagged him in it, and then he responded and inspired me to do something else. And so we've done some, and you don't have to have the previous video to understand what we're individually talking about, but putting it together is just almost a time separated podcast. It's really kind of cool. And we'll do that hopefully with a bunch of people. And if you do a TikTok video, I do one with you too, Joe. But right now, let me hit a marker. All right, cold open time, Joe. Pick a number between 2, 4, 8, 1 and 7. But not 1. Pick a number between 2 and 7. You said 7?
Yep.
All right. Like to hear it, random kid. Oh, by the way, random kid, you abandoned me last week. Go to your room.
This is Wise and Nerdy, where fatherhood meets fandom.
Let's have some fun. Oh, Joseph_Hart, it's so good to see you again, sir. I thought you were dead and gone. Glad you made it back. And yes, random kid, you did pop in later. But old daddy Charles was like, where's my kiddo? He's not here supporting me because Joe's not here. Meh. And then right after I said that, random kid came in and it's all good. I do appreciate you, but still go to your room. So Joe, I told people, okay, Joe and I have worked together now for 7 years. I don't know. Every year, New Year's.
Almost 9 years.
Really? Yeah. It feels like 30. But every year he disappears at New Year's. I don't know why. I'm sure he's told me a dozen times. I don't really care because I love Joe. He can do what he wants to do. He tells me, hey, I'm not going to be on the show. You're not going to be on the show. Gotcha, bud. But I told people you took a religious pilgrimage to Vancouver to camp in the snow. I told people you're out hunting underground weasels. I made up so many reasons that you were gone in these last 2 weeks on shows. It's been great. So what in the world were you actually doing?
My Squatch hunt, of course.
Squatch hunt. Is that like the soap you can get for men to, those areas?
Last time we had Steven on, he talked about Squatch hunting, Sasquatch.
I understood, you don't know what Sasquatch is, so I'm trying to figure out where we're going.
So last Thursday was my wedding anniversary, so I took off.
Man, is it really the second? Because why? Okay, so question: why the heck was I at your house on a January 2nd? Did I miss insurrection by a few days? Is that what it was? I don't remember.
You showed up randomly. I can't remember why you were in town.
I know. I was just like, hey, I got some Slurpees. I'm coming to knock on your door. And you're like, oh, no. Actually, no, we planned it ahead like the night before or something because you're like, yeah, it's my anniversary. Oh, but that time should be fine. And I got to your house after y'all had celebrated your anniversary and we hung out for I just don't know why. Does Joe have an echo? Not to me, but John, maybe you can help with that answer.
I'm hearing myself occasionally in the...
Maybe I'm too loud in my headphones?
Maybe. I don't know.
I'll turn them down just a little bit. So
he's getting a little hard of hearing, people. He's getting a little older. He's trying to emulate Mr. Kurt.
Papa Kurt, Grandpa Kurt. So Joe, if you could have taken her to Applebee's for $2 wings in the afternoon, like you did when I came over to your house, why couldn't you do that for the show?
I specifically asked my wife, I'm like, the recording is on our anniversary. Can I record or should I take it off? And she was like, can you take it off, please? I'm like, all right, that'll be fine. Because I knew that you had, you were supposed to have Kurt last week and you were talking about having Steven, which you did end up having Steven. And Kurt had to bail last minute.
So this has been a thing where shows fall on that night. Again, I forget. I actually referenced it in the show. I was like, yeah, a couple of years ago, I guess it was now, we hit show 300 with Pokemon Go, but Ibbot marked the wrong night down. So he was actually coming off for 301 instead of 300. But then you were off for your anniversary or whatever. And so New Year, new host. And we said we fired Joe, brought Ibbot in, and we did the whole Pokemon Go show that way. It was titled 300 again. instead of 301. But yeah, I don't know.
Man.
So before we get to the question of the week, I have started a little bit new format. By the way, Joe, how'd you like the intro? How'd you like the intro?
I liked it. I guess I should probably record one of those. Since
I asked like a week ago, what's funny to me? What is so funny to me is I absolutely
that's why we couldn't do number one, because I am number one. No, so that's why he was like pick 2 through 7.
No, you're not. You're never number one. I'm always number one. What are you talking about? This is. Hold on, I got this one.
This is Wise and Nerdy, where fatherhood meets fandom.
So is that the one he recorded ages ago?
It is. It absolutely is.
You finally
have. I'm like, hey, it's just gonna be me and Kurt, maybe Steven. And I was like, I'm just gonna go ahead and pop these in and master. I had to remaster it. Actually, I mastered it wrong the first time, but I mastered it and I get it ready for the show. And of course, he's not there, so I used it. And then when he comes back to the show, I'm never gonna play it again. And so then I recorded my own version, asked you to do one, and then we went to Trust the Process, and I asked all of them to. So there's one from Hammond, actually, who's not in Trust the Process, but I asked him to. And I haven't mastered his, but we've got a few of our friends who have done that. And if you want to be a part of the intro, that is all we need. Your version of saying, this is Wise and Nerdy, where fatherhood meets fandom. And put your spin on it, because John, spoiler alert, John did one for us, and he put a little spin on his, and I like it. And so yeah, shortened it up, man. The whole thing's 30. If I let the whole music play out, it's 30 seconds. We are nuanced in the new world. Sponsoring tonight's question of the week is the letter M for Mitcher's American Whiskey, 83.4 proof. So that is the scotch that I'm drinking tonight, and hopefully I'll remember to kind of give it a review at the end, but there you go. See, I went and got us a sponsor. It happens to be year-old scotch that I had in my closet, but it's fun. We got sponsors, Joe. So what is the scotch question of the week?
What is the video or sound clip that stays rent-free in your head?
So many.
Right?
So many. And a lot of them are just triggered. Like you say something, boom, it's out. Music, lyrics, movie stuff. But the one for me, because I had to think about that, because like, okay, one just is always there, whether somebody triggers it or not. That'll do, donkey. That'll do. And because my wife, here's the long story. Shrek, right? It's from the first Shrek. And we had the DVD players on the back of the headrests, as you could have back in the early 2000s for kids. And they love Shrek. So she memorized, she knows every line. And then she started saying that all the time. So now, even if I'm on my own and I'm like, all right, it's time for me to kind of wrap up the day, I'll hear it in my voice. That'll do, donkey. That'll do. So that's mine. What about you, Joe?
I mean, I've got a bunch. Like the first one that came to my mind was in the first Incredibles, there's the scene where he's running late to the wedding. And he tells him, we'll get him eventually. And that eventually.
Yeah, eventually. Yeah.
Eventually. And so that lives rent-free in my head. But also As You Wish from Princess Bride.
I get that. That's more of a triggering one for me when somebody says so. As you, yeah.
Yep.
The other one, I can describe it because there's no words, no anything. And no, you will not know this reference because it's not your kind of movie. Fight Club. There's so many things from it. But the one that always just caught me was when Brad Pitt is out with Ed Norton and he's trying to get him to punch him. And this is before they started the Fight Club and everything. Like, have you ever been punched? No, man. He's like, all right, come on, man. Punch me. And Ed Norton's like building up to it. He hits it. It catches him in the ear. And the thing that lives in it's not that part. It's the part right after that sticks in my brain where Brad Pitt is an amazingly quirky actor. And just this hand motion and the thing, he just does this twist and he does this hand motion. And every time I get frustrated, that character, almost like a Jeff, pops up. Yeah, choosing moms choose Jeff. I said it.
No.
Jeff pops up. Dude. And it's just like, and he's like, my ear. It's like, yeah, it's funny. So, all right. Can we do it? Yes, we can. Although I definitely changed it to,
Builder.
yeah. Can we fix it? F right off. No, wait. I like butterscotch. Is that a quote? I like butterscotch. I don't know.
I think he was talking about your drink.
Oh, Scotch sponsored. Yeah, probably. So what about one? Do you know, like your wife's one? Did we get any kind of discords on it? Or speaker pipe?
She, as far as I know, we didn't get any speak pipes on it, but she hasn't said it much lately, but she used to quote it all the time. Oi with the poodles already from Gilmore Girls.
Okay. Yeah.
She used to, well, for a long time, whenever she didn't know what she wanted to watch at the moment, she would just rewatch Gilmore Girls. She's probably watched the entire series 10 times since we've been married.
Wow. All right.
So yeah. But yeah, no, it hasn't been her go-to for the last couple of years. She finally, I guess, got sick of it after, watching it a million times. But yeah, she used to say "oi" with the poodles already.
With Gilmore Girls, okay? You don't get sick of it because you watched it 10 million times.
But yeah, she hasn't watched it for a couple of years. Well, you know what? I know what it is. I introduced her to anime, and now she's been watching anime instead.
Did you guys watch the 4-part almost mini series that they did a few years ago on Netflix? It was summer, fall, winter, spring.
My wife has watched that a couple of times. I've never actually. I've watched snippets of Gilmore Girls here and there when she's watched it, but I've never watched it from start to end. I've seen just snippets.
Are a horrible husband. Saying.
She has the original series. She has on DVD on one of the shelves behind me. Not that she needs to pull that out anymore.
Yeah.
It's true. Oh, full run through. I love it. I actually said that the other day. Well, have a nap and then fire the missiles.
Yeah.
Early YouTube right there.
It's not just sharks, it's sharks with lasers. Yeah, or zip it good. Hey, Joe.
But I am lame tired.
Zip it.
Exhibit A.
Zip it.
I got a bag full of zip it.
You have
your name on it. Oh,
roll that dice.
Speaking of rolling dice, Bob Magoo will be at CheddarCon with us. And hey, before we announce the topic, I do want to, anybody's like listening before they cut off the podcast, whatever, look, we do this podcast every week. We have so much fun. We'd love for you to come out and join us live. It is Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Sorry, we get together at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on youtube.com/wise_nerdy. You can watch it live. And of course, we are in all your podcatchers as wise_nerdy. And patreon.com is wise_nerdy. I really regret putting in the underscore. I insisted on that, everybody. I own that. I own it all day long. I'm like, no, let's keep it. It's a cool part of your name. I regret it partially.
If you go to Google and just search wise and nerdy with no underscores, you'll find our website. Yeah.
Nice. Well, that's good to know. All right. What do we got here?
It's personal story time.
That's not actually what I rolled. I clicked the wrong button.
What's
Hold on.
How do I?
Oh, okay. Right into the deepest end of the topics here. Nobody can be everything to everybody, right? Sometimes you're just not the right person, right place, or right time. Okay. So the question is, how do I get people to listen to me when I say I'm not the one? I'm not the right person for that. Because also, I have a hard time not stepping up and doing a job, doing a thing. But here, that
was so hard when I was single, telling all the girls I was dating that I wasn't the one.
You know how many girls I dated, Joe? Not 51st dates like you, just say. So, yeah, I'm not the one. Smack. Get out of here. Hit her with the Bible. I don't know. Why are you so violent to women, Joe? I don't understand. Kelsey, blink if you're not safe. Okay. But how do I guess the real question is how I get myself to understand I'm not always the one. Now, here's how I tell the story. Recently, like right before New Year's, I got told in a great way I'm getting repositioned. I was chief of operations for Trinity EMS and built a great company, but it's been a struggle in the last year. And some of the Patreon heard it. Joe's heard a little bit of it. But I never wanted a desk. I never said in my life, man, I would love to run an ambulance company. Right place, right time. And I was the right person in the moment to take it from what it was to what it is. And in that path, met the right person to build One EMS and take my digital media career not just up, but into a very important venue that is still important to me, mixing both worlds. So all that built up to right person did come along who is a surgeon when it comes to operations. I mean, they went to school for this. Their desire was to run an ambulance company. They are the one. And it's been a little bit rough, but in this transition of everything, people don't listen to me. I'm telling them all the time, I believe in you, but let me tell you, the biggest principles you can live by in any job is what you do is not who you are, but understanding who you are will change everything you do so that you are who you are in every job you go to. Do not be loyal to a company. Companies are machines. Machines go broke, things change. You don't, it's a company. Work with the people you work, value for value, all that stuff. But if you bring yourself to the table, you can walk out of any job learning something and having walked out going, I left me and hopefully a better me than I walked in. That's one principle. The other principle is at any given job is simple. It's either yes, sir, yes, ma'am, or it's been a great day working here. Thank you, but it's not for me anymore. And if you just live by those, the changes come. You're okay. Am I going with the change or where am I going? And so things had built to a part where I'd gotten it to as far as I could have gotten it in that position. And my position now with that company, it's actually with both Life Care and Trinity, is Chief Technical Officer. Oh, what? Charles does tech? Yeah. Surprise everybody. So that and Chief Administrative Officer, because I know how
dual title.
Works.
You're just like,
right.
I'm double the officer, baby. Respect the authority.
Respect my authority. So, but throughout all this, I'm telling people, and I only know how to be me, Joe. And so that means I am the coach. I expect how we've worked together so well these many years is that's what I expect. I expect you to be an adult. You said you wanted to be here. Be here. Here's the work you said you take on. Cool. We're partnered. We talk to each other like human beings. Done. Easy. It makes it so easy. No drama. I cannot think of any drama. As much as I try to start on the show, I cannot think of any real drama that we've had between us for any reason other than when you forgot you were 12 years a slave and had to put you in your place. But that's okay. No, I'm sorry, everybody who doesn't know the backstory. Joe was sold. He didn't realize it. It's a long story. Bad joke. Moving on. But in this transition, like I'm excited because it makes me do for me, because when you're born to do something you're good at, when you're that surgeon in that specialty, so easy. And so everybody's like, oh my, it's like I can breathe. Like, oh my God, man, I'm doing my TikTok videos almost every day and I'm getting stuff done. I'm getting projects cleaned up and, I got this audio edited after like a year to get these new intros and stuff. I'm doing what I love. And man, One EMS is really about to go big because we're in that phase of raising money. We're a 501c3. So we're in that phase of raising money, which will then fully fund my dream to change people's lives and go and speak everywhere. And so that's very quick overview. However, the how do I part of that is one, how do I go, hey, I'm not really great at this. It's not for me. Watching Overtime Like a Hawk, it's not for me. I'm doing 5 different things. I watched the bobber like you're fishing on the ocean. My bobber is what payroll is, and payroll's been bobbing right in the range it should be. So I think nothing's changing, but it was. And there were some bad numbers. It's not huge, but there was some mess. There was some stuff. And so the new guy coming in who is great, loving to death. The second I saw his resume, like, that's my replacement. This is the guy right here. Let's let him prove himself at another base running it. And man, he's here. He's good. But in that transition, because he is a surgeon, he is cutting things and it's hurting some people who said, this is part of the thing. He's like, man, I was loyal to this company. I thought this company was different. I was like, no. That anger belongs to me, not to the company. You believed in me. And I am that guy who's always saying, I'm encouraging your best you. I'm pushing you here. I'm not saying, hey, you're missing this step. And I could have done that differently. And I feel very badly that I'm landing in roses and they're having heartache tonight. And how do I get people to understand you're not me, and my radioactive infectiousness, my radioactive energy gets people all hyped up. So Joe, long story long, how do I get people to understand they aren't me, they need to be them? And then to listen when I say, you have to make the choices. This is the goals you're going to. I don't know. Do you get it? Do you get it, Joe?
Yeah. I mean, there's times though when it has to be you, at least for a while, and it did have to be you.
Yeah, it did. Absolutely.
And sometimes you've got to make do with a nail when it really ought to have been a screw, or vice versa, whatever.
Sure, I got you. Yeah.
But when you find something that's the perfect fit, you're doing exactly what you need to in stepping back and saying, look, this will be better for us in the long run, period. I realize there's going to be growing pains, but in the long run, this is going to be what's best for everyone.
And it does help in the interim that this literally was not a decision I was involved in at all. Like I got told, because I went, sorry, I drank a little scotch, now I'm coughing. Brought to you by scotch and COVID.
Don't evolve into wheezing. You stay coughing.
Oh, by the way, that little Starling video you sent me on Facebook, that was wrong, sir. Or whatever it was. I'll give you a star. You know what I mean? All right. So
inside jokes on podcasts that no one understands.
Everybody hates those, right? You know what's one inside joke? Come join our Discord. Linktree / wise__nerdy. It's free, and you'll get a lot of these jokes and memes. It's cool.
I'll have to link it in there too, so that people will have context for anyone that joins. So
we need somebody to write a parody song of the Toys R Us song. I'm a Toys R Us kid. We did it, but make it something about I'm a nerdy dad. Where dad can be a dad. All right. So I can even tell tonight when. So I got summoned to lunch about a week ago, and my partner in one EMS and my boss at this one, he's like, what are your plans for this year? I'm like, dude, that's way too big of a question. We're talking about one EMS. Are we talking about this? Because we were talking about planning one EMS stuff. And he's like, well, let me just rip the Band-Aid. And I could tell by the way he delivered that message and the way today he delivered a message to me, he felt like it was taking away from me, like it was a demotion. He felt bad. I'm like, dude, you basically just took me out of a base and put me on the corporate level, essentially. You put me on, hey, you're going to look at all this stuff. You're going to just answer to me, which has always been the case. You're not going to be responsible for any one little thing, and you and I are going to go change the world. To me, that's a promotion all day long. You put me where I want to be. It's a great thing. But had I been consulted on it, I'd been like, yeah, this is the right thing to do. And I know it's going to crack some eggs, but that's because I taught the wrong lessons. So coach me here, Daddy Joe. What's things I could do better as we go forward to make sure the right people in the right place? Because I didn't have to go as motivationally deep as I did with some of the people, and they took the wrong message and went in the wrong path. I know they're responsible for their choices, but how do I handle this better?
Such a broad, obviously every situation is going to be different, but in this specific one, I don't know how you could have, to be honest. Reassuring everyone that, like I said before, I guess just reassuring everyone that this person will be the best thing for the company in the long run. Although that might not be reassuring, because what's best for the company might not be what's best for the individual employees.
I've tried to teach that too. It's like, hey, just good people don't always go where the company's going. Sometimes they go here for a while and they move on to something else. It doesn't mean they're bad people, blah, blah, blah. Retrospect is everything, right? I could have said, okay, on Mondays, I'm going to look at overtime and go, you're not doing it. I could have been harder and stiffer, but the reality, I believe, is for me, I'm not that guy. I don't want to be that guy. I only want to play with the people who want to play on my level. Joe, how many people have we met through Dragon Con? Cool people, fun, entertaining, but somewhere inside of ourselves we went, yeah, this is not somebody we want to create with.
Yes.
That I've got down. So it's kind of adding that principle to the job. And you're right. I needed to be the one until we found the next one. And it was funny, even when he was talking, Brian was talking to me a little bit. He said something. I was like, I'm just glad. So I'm very proud that, in June, we had a big hard shift, and I had to get I'm a big paradigm shift inside myself and how I viewed things, and got tougher, got harder, got more focused. Man, right? So I'm glad that I pulled it out of this dive and we ended up on an okay note. And I said I said to him today, I was like, yeah, man, I'm just glad it didn't end up in dude, you just borked it and you can't be here anymore. And he goes, no, I would never say that, because we got bigger fish to fry. We're going to change the world. It's like, I know, Brian, which means I can't be here anymore, but not in that function,
Yeah,
but so you're right, Joe.
So you basically made a lateral move.
More or less. Yeah. A freeing move. It's
Yep.
But like with coding, right? If you're working with a team, you go, okay, you got to do this code, you got to do this code, you got to do this code. It's very, I would assume, cut and dry. Like, hey, this code is wrong, fix it. That's the part I'm not good at. I can see some of it's wrong. I could take the 10 minutes, theoretically, to go read all the code. Oh, this is wrong, that's wrong. What I do is look at 5 different things and go, oh, the code seems to be running okay. Not the greatest, not the best, but it's doing all right. We'll keep tweaking it. You see what I'm saying? And so I just want to get to that point sometime, or maybe I just surround myself with people like you, Joe, where I'm like, Joe, man, this guy's kind of bothering me. Like, yeah, no, I'll go edit his code. Don't worry about it. I don't want to know what that means, Joe, but it's plausible deniability. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, then there's John popping into chat here. He says, I dislike managing people who need managing.
God, John, you nailed it. Yes. And then, Joe, you also, the flip side, I dislike managers who overmanage people.
Oh, yeah. No, my previous manager was horrible when it came to micromanaging. And I've said it on here before. It's all, I guarantee it's just him trying to put bullet points on his resume for his next position. But yeah, my current manager, I actually had a one-on-one meeting with him today, and I told him to his face that I love that he just stays out of the way and lets us get our job done, because he know, like, we know that if we need something, we can come to him and he will be right on top of it. But he also knows that he doesn't need to do anything because we get our job done.
Yeah.
So,
and I want to give this to people who are struggling. I'm not really struggling with it. I was processing it, but if you're struggling with that kind of thing, how do I do better? How do I say I'm not the one, this, and that, and other? This is what I said when I own things, because I could tell Brian, it's hard to explain. He's always treated me like a partner, even when most of the time I was an employee, but we just understand each other. We vibe on the same level. And sometimes that's bad. We both have that same belief in helping people, and a lot of times we want it more for somebody else than they want it for themselves. We don't like cutting people. We both kind of want to play on that level. We don't want to manage people who need managing. It should be set up the process, do your job, check in, easy peasy, right? Which I think it will be under the right people. But we're similar that way. But what I did tell him, I was like, I'm not saying I'm sorry because I didn't do anything wrong. You're not saying I did anything wrong. I am saying I'm sorry I gave you ammo to come at me and say you're not doing your job right. And I want you to understand, I never checked out intentionally. I always wanted to do the best job I could, but where I was sitting and what I was seeing, I couldn't see the job I needed to do. And I felt like that resonated with him. It definitely resonated for me because I said it. But that's the thing is, if you're true, and that's what's kept me through fire after fire after fire after fire here. We both knew we have bigger things to do. We both knew we have to get there. We're not sure how. We'll just keep going in the direction we're going in until we figure it out. And we both knew ultimately I was not the specialist. Because I want to be clear, I am not down on myself at all. I had with the new chief, I had to talk to him. And he's like, oh, no, you're guys. Like, no, you don't understand. I'm not good. I'm effing awesome at what I do when I'm supposed to be doing it. I'm just okay at the things that I'm not great at. So I'm not dogging myself, but he's a specialist. That desire versus willingness. I think I actually talked about that on one of my TikToks. But
well, and that makes a huge difference.
It's all the difference.
Just because you're capable of doing a position doesn't mean you want to, and that that comes through in spades. And so that desire is huge.
Yeah. And honestly, that's why you and I work so well together at Dragon Con, because I never feel like with any of the volunteers, and especially because you and I work a lot on our shows and everything else, that it's never a different dynamic. It's never well, I'm your boss now, Joe, go do it. You know who I am. I know who you are. And sometimes I rip off, hey, get that. You're like, got it. Because it's just shorthand. It's not orders, right? And because we don't micromanage, we just know our roles and we work so well together. John says, on the flip, I don't mind training people to manage themselves. And there's nothing more edifying seeing people take off after teaching them how to do something. 1,000%. 1,000%.
And on the double flip side, there's those that you teach them something and they come back to you 10 minutes later and be like, how do you do that? And you're like, this past week, I had to tell someone on a different team that the same thing multiple times, and it wasn't anything complicated. For a lot of our systems at my work, we have a test region, a development region, and a production region. But for one of our products that we support, we only have a non-prod, so test and development combined, and a production region. And I told this person multiple times, we only have one non-prod region, and they kept coming back to me asking for Joe is double flip correct. They came back to me multiple times asking the same thing, and I'm like, we only have one non-production region for this product, and I still don't know if they got it. Hopefully they got it, but we'll see. But they were trying to say that there was an issue on our end because their code was working in test, but it wasn't working in develop. And I'm like, then it's your code, because there's literally no difference on our end. We have one non-prod region. But yeah, no, it's some people just don't listen. And there's not a whole lot you can do with people like that. Because it ends up being a waste of your time. It really does.
The biggest mistake humans make is caring. And that is because you said you're not listening. You're not
caring
you start
about
thinking.
The wrong things.
Exactly. But I say things the way I say it, Joe. Don't go crazy. I'm the non-prod region. Leave me alone. So, but it's because they start thinking, what does this mean for me? Well, I don't understand. Oh, I'm going to look stupid. Oh, yeah. If you just take the ego out, I do not care at work. And that's a beautiful thing. I mean, I've been praised multiple times. Charles has no ego. Go talk to him. You want him to,
who in their right mind would tell you that you have no ego, Mr. Rock God of podcasting?
There's difference in confidence and ego, my friend. Ask Freud. But I don't care, because I can do what I do. I can step back and not do a single show at Dragon Con and have a successful Dragon Con. I knew 15 panels at Dragon Con and have a successful Dragon Con. It's whatever is needed. Like, I'm happily giving up my office. In fact, I'm not giving up my office. We're forcing this new chief into it because he didn't want to step on the blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, that office is an anchor. I never wanted that office. That is the operations office. I'll sit out here at the table because I'm not going to be here but once or twice a week. So I'm going to another base, and then we're doing this, blah, blah, blah. Because imagine if Charles got deployed to some non-prod region. Thank you. That's so good, Randy Kid. That is so good. So fast. But that's it. It's what I care about is putting food on the table for my family. So I make sure I'm making enough money and trying to earn it. And then I care about myself. How I'm going to be on stage, what fulfills me, what is right for my life, how to get to that next conference, that next thing, to do what I love. So everything in between is, are you paying me? Okay, sure. Go wash my car. Am I on the clock? Got it. Do you want the wheels done too? I don't care. You're paying me. We're good. And so, like, it was like, hey, man, he can't work in that office because I'm a loud asshole. Sorry, beep. But yeah, he goes, well, that, and because you draw people to you, and people are coming in and out all day and talking to you, and you can work on 5 things and talk to them, but no other normal humans can do that. It's like, no, I got it. Done. And I know he doesn't want it, but it's going to be his because that's part of the show. because made that I'm all about, Joe, as a show, because we need everybody to see that shift of power. There is no question. Charles is not at that desk anymore. I love that desk. I picked it out like physically. It's a great desk. It's beautiful. I picked it out. It's a thing. I don't care. I actually care more about what it represents, which is a job that I don't want to do, than I care about that I enjoyed that desk physically. It was a nice desk.
It's the subconscious statement that it makes to the employees.
Yep. And so I am going in on Monday and pulling, and all my stuff is just a few little toys. Like I had giant Batman Funko Pop and some other things I keep in my office, a little bit of scotch. Surprise, surprise. And then, a number of my sound dampening old t-shirts and stuff that I made into sound dampener stuff I just hang up on the walls. And that's it. And then I will be out because you have to, right? They had to. And the whole thing is so many other people will get their butt hurt by that, right? They would get, but then, no, man, I don't care how anybody else sees it. I'm going to my promised land, which is I am now free to go teach and raise money and be the superstar. I can't have a big enough smile. I don't know what to tell you. So hopefully this helps somebody, because I really like to at least do something motivational in each show that we do. And it is a thought that I had. But go ahead, Joe.
With your job change, did your pay change at all, or did it stay the same? It was just a lateral move?
Yeah.
Okay.
It shouldn't go up because it's more of a lateral move than anything else. And so long story long, Brian and I agree. Brian's the owner, and we work as partners. I don't want any more money out of those companies for any reason. I like it can even go down a little bit depending on how my plug in there goes down. But I want my money to come from one EMS because I'll be earning it there. So that's where more money comes from, this and that and the other. But he's the same as I am. Unless we just have to, we don't want to mess with anybody's money. So we try to keep it strengths and weaknesses. When you look at things as strengths and weaknesses, hey, we're moving you to your strengths, which is exactly what's happening with me. It happened with one of my cohorts earlier last year. Just move from a weakness to a strength.
Would you say that he's your Tyler Durden?
No, Phil's my Tyler Durden. Thank you very much. And you Googled something good on you, but hey, guess what?
Roll that dice.
All right. While he's doing that, Daddy-O's, I need your help. I think that might be my new name for our fans now. It's not even fans. We're famdom, right? We're the family.
So at least for the next couple of months.
Yeah, exactly. But here's what I need before I get into why I call people Daddy-O now. Hey, Daddy-O's, you love us. You're showing up some of your life. Go out there. Tell people about Wise and Nerdy. Tell them why you love it. If you got a friend that listens to podcasts without violating laws or anything else, take your phone, go ahead and put it in our show into their podcast catcher and subscribe for them, right? But tell, hey, you're in my car. Let me play this for you. I think you'll like it. Let's get the word out. Let's get almost religious about this, because I think we're doing something that not a whole lot of people do. We're bringing motivation and depth and fatherhood and nerddom and funniness. There's got to be more of us out there, right? So get out there, tell everybody about it. Now, here's why Daddy-O popped up on my mind, because I did that Rufio thing earlier when I was goofing around. And wouldn't that be fun to go to Chattacon and have a crowd like, hey, all right, it's out before we start the show, Daddy-O! And have the crowd do that? Oh, come on, man. When you know, everyone's like, oh, I want to be a Daddy-O too. It's like, oh. All right, what did we get, Joe?
What are you nerding out about now?
You were so excited. This is the first thing you put on the chart. Hit us, man. You got two.
I sure do. So the first one is The Rhythmatist by Brandon Sanderson. So my wife and I, we have a shared Libby account because we just have the one library card. And so she has been adding stuff on our wait list, and so have I. And she added The Rhythmatist and Tress of the Emerald Sea, and she keeps pushing them back. But I didn't have any that were ready for me that weren't sequels to the series that I'm working on. And so I was like, hey, if you're not gonna...
Yes, Steven, Joe is back from his naked mole rat hunt. That's another one I made up.
And so I turned to my wife. I'm like, hey, if you're not ready to listen to this audiobook, can I take it? She's like, sure, yeah. So I listened to The Arithmetist by Brandon Sanderson.
I don't know what you're actually saying because it sounds like you have a bad lisp.
Rithmatist.
Again?
Rithmatist.
I still don't know what that means.
Good, because it's a made-up word.
Okay, good. All right. You know me. I'm not quite sure if this is made up or I'm just not understanding.
No. Right. It's a world that is in an alternate Earth where he doesn't go into reasons why it's like this, but the United States is chopped up into islands, and so instead of the United States, it's the United Isles of America. And they've discovered a way to use magic using chalk, where you can draw like little chalk figures and use them to attack people, or you can draw like arrows that can attack people, or you can draw protections that can protect you from other chalk magicians. And it's about a teenage boy who is at a school for both arithmetists and normal students. He is a normal student. The July after your 8th birthday, every kid goes through this religious ceremony to determine whether they are a arithmetist or not. He was not. And he is the son of a chalk maker. And so he's got this obsession with arithmetists in general. So he studies all about being a arithmetist. But
so he's more like a chalk apprentice?
Sure.
Okay.
But he can't.
He's a chuggle. Ha ha! I got it. He's a chuggle. A chalk muggle. Come on.
And so he can't imbue magic into his chalk drawings, as it were, but he loves the theory behind it. And so he keeps trying to sneak into the magic classes and stuff like that. It's a very I thoroughly enjoyed the story. And he makes friends with this girl who doesn't want to be a arithmetist, but she is. And so it's an interesting dichotomy of this girl who doesn't want to be a arithmetist, but she is a arithmetist, and this boy who wishes he was a arithmetist and isn't. And yeah, it was a very good a book. I listened to the entire thing over the course of about 26 hours, and it's a 12-hour book. Okay. So I burned through it super fast, and it was very exciting. Brandon Sanderson does a very good job of keeping you guessing the entire time, trying to figure out any kind of mysteries or where the plot is going. Like, when it gets there, it makes sense, but I consider myself better than average when it comes to predicting how a story is going to happen. And he got some twisty turvies on me there that I was not expecting.
Isn't his name on our wish list for guests?
Yes, I would love to have him come on. He does guest appearances on other podcasts, and so I think it's a decent shot that we could get him. But
sure,
the question is how far back his backlog is, because he has to schedule like his movie nights with his friends in advance, because he can't every hour of his day is pretty much scheduled out.
So you're saying if I get him booked for next Thursday, you
would be a miracle worker.
I'm no longer a chuggle if I can get him signed on. Cool.
Oh, but yeah, no, it's very good. And if you are curious about that, go for it. It does leave you on a pretty big cliffhanger. The name of the next book is out, I can't. It started with an A. I can't remember, but it is not out yet.
Rellingby?
No, it wasn't Alcatraz, but it looked kind of like it had similar stuff in there.
A railing bee.
No, I know what you're going for. It wasn't very clever.
Oh, it was 1,000% clever. So real quick though, when you listen to a book, do you consider yourself reading?
Yeah.
Okay, so I heard this bit that I thought was hilarious. It's like, but in reading, you actually have to do the thing that's in the title. If you're listening to a book, you're just an adult getting read a bedtime story.
I mean, you still got to imagine it. So
I know, I consider it too. But that was a good bit.
One of the big benefits to reading it versus listening to it, though, is at the beginning of, I'm not sure if it's all or most of the chapters, it has little, because we have the physical copy too. It has different diagrams of some of the arithmetic drawings, the popular defenses and things like that, and it talks about, it mentions like arithmetic theory and things like that. And so you do miss out on having those actual drawings in front of you, though it does describe them in the audiobook form. But I did go back and peruse through some of the drawings after the fact and whatnot. But he does a good enough job of describing it that you don't necessarily have to have the drawings, but it was nice to just look at what was there after the fact.
I gotcha. All right, so now the kind of transition nerdy one is one that we're both nerding out about.
That's why I put it in the middle.
There you go. Yeah, smart man.
So this past weekend, the Solo Leveling Season 2 Episode 1 dropped. And oh boy,
so good.
Did it come out swinging. Oh, so good. And I've read the source material and it stuck to it so good. It's awesome. Yeah.
No
it
spoilers,
was just
but
and the opening song, it was very nice, very, very nice.
Yeah.
And just the whole thing. The whole thing is awesome. I am a huge fan of Solo Leveling. Like there have only been a handful of anime where I've watched it and said, okay, I don't want to wait for the next season. Let's read up. And Solo Leveling is one of those. Now, granted,
that's fun.
I haven't. I've started, but I haven't finished the sequel to Solo Leveling. There is a
well, I'm ignoring you because I'm not getting my hopes up for another 10 years as we go through this. I'll just watch as it comes.
Yeah, there's a manhwa that takes place after the events. Manhwa, after the events of Solo Leveling, and it's been pretty good so far. But I'm only maybe about 10 chapters into it, but it's still ongoing. So I don't necessarily, I don't feel like I have to rush through it because I'm just going to hit a brick wall where it's not done yet.
Yeah.
So I'm reading it as I go. Just like I'm still working on the Shield Hero light novels. I've read, so I don't know, have you ever heard of the term web novel? Okay, so I've read the entire Shield Hero web novel, which is basically a rough draft for the light novel, and there are some huge differences between the light novel and the web novel. So I have an idea of where it's going, but he could completely change it for the light novel. And as far as I know, the light novels are not actually done yet for Shield Hero. So, but that I wonder when the 4th season is going to be coming out for that one.
I don't know, man. I'm ready for it. Now let me ask you this, because I've been hesitant to go look. I've been busy too, but did it drop all at once, or is it going to be a week-to-week drop for season 2 of Solo Leveling?
Oh, it'll be a 1-by-1.
I think I'm going to wait. I think I'm going to wait till it finishes because I can't get enough, and I'm just done with the life that I have to wait till next week. I can take a season. I can wait a year for a season or whatever. Odd, right? I don't want to wait 7 days for the next episode, but I'll wait a year for the next season. But that's just, it is the way it is for me.
Yeah. Well, and this is the turnover of the seasons. So January, the beginning of January is the start of a new anime season, so there's a bunch of new ones that I've been trying and whatnot, and yeah.
If there's anything along the lines of Solo Leveling or Shield Hero Rising, let me know, because that is just my jam of that out of world gamified kind of thing going on. And the hero arcs, even as dark as Shield Hero is, the arcs of the characters, Demon Slayer, that kind of thing. Side note with this, because you're talking about the manhwas and I just hear minions every time, manhwa. But I had a fun moment last night. I was talking to my wife, and my oldest son, Oakland, comes walking through with, I could see he had a new Sonic baseball cap, like a Sonic the Hedgehog baseball cap. I'm like, what? He's like, just going to pass through, going, whoa, whoa, whoa. And my wife's told I put a finger on her arm, like, pause. Boy, where are you going with? I see a Funko Pop. You need to tell me. And he'd gone to Second and Charles, which is a used store for nerd stuff. I'm not sure how much across the country it is, but I know it's in a couple areas in Georgia. It's a little bit of a chain. You can look it up online. But it's where people tend to sell some of their used stuff, whatever. And it is a brand new Sonic cap. It's not about a Sonic cap. Quit focusing on the Sonic cap, Joe. I'm trying to tell a story. Yeah, I said, hey, what are those
Gotta
books?
Go fast.
Yeah, what are those books that you have? He loves Jujutsu Kaisen.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if I said it right, but
No,
apparently he's watched all of it. That's on Crunchyroll. And so he bought 2 of the whatever style books. I don't know if it's manhwa or whatever. Manga. Yeah, I don't know what category it falls in, but 2 of those so he could keep reading the story until they made the I was like, look at something finally grabbed onto you. And because I don't care what your fandom is, I just like to see people with fandoms, especially my kids. And the best thing is he kind of opened the door for you to introduce anime to me, because he had started watching My Hero Academia. No, he didn't. He watched it, but that was later. And I'm sorry, you said it wrong. I'm a millennial to my core. It's dun, dun, dun. But no, he had some poster. Like, oh, what's that poster? I think it had
Jujutsu Kaisen. A lot of people just call it JJK.
Okay, joke, got it. And so he had already discovered some things with his friends, and so he was telling me about stuff, and that got me more interested. And then you brought Demon Slayer to me, and the rest is history. So yeah, for him to come in with I just thought of you immediately. I was like, I will never do that, because I just don't care that much. I just want it in the form that I consumed it in, and I'll wait. But I was like, good on you, man. You went and found more of what you loved, and you're going to read through it, and that's really cool. So we all know we are not sponsored by AMC. However, I am an AMC investor, so please go to AMC and make me some money. But in all reality, there's some AMCs that are crap. What little I can do as an investor, I'm trying to help fix that. But I love Screen Unseen. I've talked about it ad nauseam.
Many times. Almost as much as Kurt's talked about Belatro.
No. I'm not quite there yet. It's not even on the level of Steven Adams saying you're great, to everybody in the world. I'm not quite talking about it that much. That was a sideways compliment, because Steven gives good compliments. So I was saying so I love music movies. I love biopics. Yeah. He's talking to us, I guess. I don't know. He says, you are great. I don't know. I was trying to emphasize R, not. Anyway.
Great.
My wife, however, does not like musicals or music, and mostly she likes historical biopics, true stories, but she just doesn't care about a lot of things. And she did not want to see the movie Better Man, which is the Robbie Williams story. Had no idea. She did not know who he was at all, because I'm not like super familiar with his music. Like, oh, I know all his songs and quote, but I've known of him ever since he popped his head into America, about halfway through his career. Basically, it's like, oh, I like how he writes. I like his heart. I like some of his stuff. I'm familiar with the songs. I guarantee you he has a song that you'll probably, oh yeah, I've heard that on the radio, and it was kind of cool. The twist on this movie is it's done by the Greatest Showman producers, and some of the people who helped write some of that music. One of my favorite movie musicals of all time, because I classify movie musical. It's not a movie based on a musical. It's 100% made for a movie, written as a musical. Fantastic movie. And so I'm like, okay, it's cool. And the twist is Robbie is a monkey in this whole thing. Everybody else is human, but he's a CGI'd monkey that they actually did really, really well with. And I thought that was perfect because he got to do the voice of himself the whole time, but they could age the monkey up through the years. They could put all the emotion of the scene in the face, so you didn't have to try to learn to act or throw things off if you didn't quite hit the note right.
You mean they didn't have Andy Serkis do that? He does all the mocap.
I cannot say yes or no. He might be the mocap on this monkey. And it's very kind of musical where they break out into random song, but some of it is the actual concert performances, so on and so forth. That he's recreating. I am going to tell you. I'm going to read you some lyrics from a song. For the longest time, I have not been excited about movies. I enjoy them. We all know that. I come away with like, oh man, I kind of think about this. I was impressed by that. But I used to go to stuff like the first Deadpool. It's probably the last movie I was really excited about. Even Deadpool 2 and 3, I love them. But when it was a roller coaster, it was 3. I mean, I felt the emotions of the first movie. Like, oh, I'm so excited. Oh my God. I've lost that. It's just not there anymore. And this is the first time in forever that a movie made me feel something. And it's because his life story and his heart and his energy resonated with a lot of stuff I've gone through and where I am. I definitely didn't do the tons of cocaine that he has done in his lifetime through this movie. Didn't do the destroyed lives. I mean, he's fairly honest about himself. He is not the greatest character in this whole film. He seems to be pretty blunt about the mistakes he's made. And he didn't really paint too horrible of a story about the people around him. But the way they just go abstract and shows, I just felt it. I instantly knew, hey, you're not actually in water drowning. That's just how you feel in this moment with all this. I just got it. Just resonated. I movie cried at this thing. And when I say movie cried, I've always seen on TV where they have a tear coming down their eyes or a stream of tears, but it's that line. Because I've always been that big dude that I have a lot of damage in my life. I've dealt with a lot of it, but there's moments when it hits, I'm like, oh, it's not coming out of my face. Just that trauma cry. Never adult cried in my life. And I'm at the end of this movie, and it's just coming, just straight down. I'm not losing my mind. I'm not sobbing, red eyes. Just that movie. The tears are just straight in one line. It was just so beautiful. And I don't want to ruin it for everybody. It's not for everybody. And I'm going to tell you, I get to go on. I called up Travis today. TV Travis said, dude, I had put a pin in. I wanted to do Wicked. I said, hey, I call Wicked. I want to do Wicked whenever you see it. He's like, cool. That was kind of, and we have another movie lined up at some point we're going to do. But I said, hey, we need to boot Wicked down the road. We need, or if somebody else steps up and sometime you can give it to them, because I just saw a sneak preview of this movie and it hit my life so hard. I've got to talk about it, and I need to talk about it with you. And so on the 26th of January, so in a couple weeks from this recording, and even when this podcast comes out, it'll be in a week or two on Sunday night on Wait You Haven't Seen. I'll be on talking about, I'll really in depth discussing this movie with Travis. This is one of the first songs as a character in this movie you get. And at first it was heartbreaking. I didn't know why. I listened more today. This is me. 1,000%. And I know my wife doesn't listen to the show. So I've always struggled with the idea, like he lost some loves in his life because it wasn't enough. He had to have that fame. Now there's other struggles, other things, but it was just that big. And I've always known that. I've always known that my family's not enough. My wife's not enough. I felt negative because I don't want to lose them. I don't want to be that Quirty Fingers rock star that goes and says, I have to chase this dream and leave everything else behind. But I can't not let go of the dream. And this song sums it up. It's called Feel. It's a Robbie Williams song. And in the movie, I don't know in his original writing if he just sang it, but in the movie it's him as a kid. So I got to look this up. I don't know if they made his voice sound like he was 8 years old or if they got the most talented kid in the world to sing this, because this kid is whoever sang this song for the movie, strong singer. I mean, just heart, emotion, stuff that that age of that voice shouldn't have. And it really hits harder too. So for me, it's my inner child singing this. But here's the lyrics real quick. Come on, hold my hand. I want to contact the living. Not sure I understand the role I've been given. I sit and talk to God, and he just laughs at my plans. My head speaks a language I don't understand. I just want to feel real love, feel the home that I live in, because I got too much life running through my veins, going to waste. And I'm reading it as a poem more than the actual song goes, because it's beautiful when you hear it. Just go listen to it. It's on Spotify. I don't want to die, but I ain't keen on living either. Before I fall in love, I'm preparing to leave her. I scare myself to death. That's why I keep on running. Before I've arrived, I can see myself coming. I just want to feel real love, feel the home that I live in, because I got too much life running through my veins, going to waste. And I need to feel real love and a life ever after. I cannot get enough. I just want to feel real love, feel the home that I live in. I got too much love running through my veins to go to waste. I just want to feel real love and a life ever after. There's a hole in my soul. You can see it in my face. It's a real big place. Come and hold my hand. I want to contact the living. Not sure I understand this role I've been given. And even reading it, it's hard for me to kind of keep it together a little bit because I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know if I could ever get to a point in my life that I could express what I've felt my entire life.
I mean,
Words
you're getting more
eloquent.
emotional right now than when we talked about dealing with grief.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's a mirror held up to me going, and especially in the kid's voice, that if you listen to a Better Man soundtrack, it's exactly from the movie. So it's in that 8 to 12-year-old age range of voice singing it with his dad. I won't ruin it, but there's this part where the dad, it's heartbreaking to watch in the moment because it's supposed to be in the movie. But even I was listening this morning and I was like, I'm just singing with it. Again, another tear coming out. It was a mirror just held up to my entire life. That's my inner child right there, not knowing how to deal with everything I've been given and how to keep my life together while also chasing the thing that could rip everything apart. So it's my nerding out, and I'm going to be on this. It's the last time I felt this deeply because of a movie was The Matrix. And let me tell you, that movie, I watched it opening night. We won't go into it here. I've gone into other shows, whatever. And later on, Joe, if you care about it, we can talk about another show. But when I saw The Matrix, it ripped open everything I thought I knew about religion and life and where I was questioning, and showed me a new way. And it changed the path of the rock god forever. This one did the same. And what it actually taught me a little bit is, okay, how do I put some safeguards around my heart and my soul so I can always keep going when, even though the people around me don't quite understand, and never be afraid that I'm going to lose what I have in order to get what I need. So go listen to my voice when you watch it, and it'll be a different movie. Because if you just go watch it, like, because my wife, she didn't care. She didn't know who he was. She didn't quite understand why he did some of the things in the movie. It was like, I'm not telling you wrong, but I understood every second of that film. I understood exactly why they went crazy here. I understood there's a battle scene. He did not have a battle scene in his real life, but there's a battle scene. But I got it. 100% got it. Knew exactly what. I just want to have, well, I say 5 minutes, really be turned into 2 hours of gushing with Robbie Williams and just talk life and talk heart. And so if I could get Robbie Williams on Finding the Stories, I don't know if I'll ever do another episode of Finding the Stories again, because that was my penultimate. Oh my God, let's talk about pain in life and motivation. So yeah, thanks, Stephen. Yeah, thank you, Joe, for putting that up on the screen. I'll put it back up there for a second. I love when a movie just sets off a fire in you and you have to tell everyone about it. At Greenland. Oh, I don't know if I saw Greenland. I know what it's about.
I know I didn't.
Yeah. I found you pitiless in Greenland. But no, it's Greenland's not.
I mean, if you want to see Greenland, you better hurry up before Trump buys it. You know, just saying.
Hey, Steven, I need one of these from you. Like in that vein of, hey, bud, I know you're having some big feelings. I need to roll that dice.
Roll that dice. Time for a commercial break.
All right. God, man, I wish we could play. Oh God, I wouldn't do it because I'd lose my crap for a second. But I wish we could play commercial music. I was just like, you know what? Screw it. We're listening to Feel right now. We're gonna cry together. Hold on to your tissues, boys. Okay, that sounded dirty. I'm so sorry. That's not. I don't know what I meant to do. I'm so sorry. There's a certain one I wanted tonight. This one. Okay. Nope. Wrong button. Oh, hey, Daddy-O's, like I said earlier, go on, tell everybody about this show. If you love what we're doing here, you love the you feel inspired, you feel like we gave you a good time. Man, Joe, how do I not say this word? It sounds like I'm being silly. If we touched your life for a moment,
if you had a good time and we touched you.
This is a place where you can be you, period. You know, we're going to help you be a better person. We're going to make you laugh. We're going to let you know that, hey, that thing you thought was weird and people wouldn't understand, we mean like anime and stuff. We get it, right? We talk about our flaws. We talk about our hearts. We talk about our kids. Tell everybody, come join us. This is more than a show. This is a way of life. And also patreon.com/wise_nerdy. We could use some money too. But hey, let's jam out some music, people.
I like this. It's got a good vibe.
Yeah. This is a song that pushed me over the top when I found it for our show to go, I really want to write music like this for our show. Just that I want to add a little more to it, but that to give you that motivational feel, but that accepted feel, that energy, that I just feel good listening to this.
Yeah.
You know, that I haven't put it on my 2025 I'm going to do that this year list, but I'm really that close. You know, I've talked about how John has given me a whole lot of samples to play with. I got some tools, digital tools to work with. I'm kind of holding off on buying the little MIDI keyboard that has all the things you can assign sounds to. So you could, I'm sitting here, you can't see me on my camera. I'm sitting here doing the chords in my hand along with the thing going, that's so easy. Just the repeat and you get that. Okay, now I feel good. Now I can layer in the little behind there and I got it. You know, writing music is part of who I am and I just haven't done it in so long. And I know we could play it here, and if nobody else cares, me and you will care. And that's all that matters. But hey, before you roll that dice, Joe, we've got some business to attend to.
That we do. So, for the January 30th recording, the question of the week will be, what's your favorite kind of sandwich? And it's okay if you say hot dogs are a sandwich. We will judge you, but it's okay if you say it.
We listen, and we do judge.
We might even turn it into a parliament of papas. Actually, I think we've done that before, but
yeah, I think we have. But yeah, that's how we do.
But we also have some speak pipes. You've loaded up some. I've loaded up some.
Yep.
I believe they're all from the same source, Devo site. Do you want to go first or me?
You go, and I'll go. We'll tag team back and forth.
All right. I've only got one for this segment, so here we go.
All right, wait. All right, I got two, I believe, for this segment. So I'll do one, then you do that one, then I'll do that one.
All right.
This is from the Full Run Through, who I think is here tonight as well.
Hey, daddies. This is Tyler from the Full Run Through. I was calling because I was listening to your most recent upload to Spotify from this previous Saturday, and the debate came up about eggnog.
Oh, no.
It got a little bit off topic and switched over to mayonnaise. And I thought about it, and I was pretty sure that most of those ingredients were the same. So I plugged it into ChatGPT, and sure enough, really the only difference between the two is how you process it. Both have eggs, both have sugar, both have salt. most of the time, both of them have dairy and some form of spice. So think about that the next time you enjoy a glass of eggnog or
Yeah.
make yourself
Yeah, you're
ham and cheese
chugging
sandwich with some
mayonnaise.
mayo on it. They're pretty much the same, minus how you actually make it.
Oh man.
Yeah, Joe, you're chugging mayonnaise. You gross dude.
Now I will say I've been watching some of the full run through. So Tyler,
Yeah, me too. Me too.
He's the full run through on YouTube as well, and I've been watching some of his Minecraft playthroughs on a modded Skyblock world. So it wouldn't be for everyone because, well, there's a lot of people that just don't care about Minecraft, but it's not half bad. I'm liking it.
Last night he tuned in to Be Awesome Together, and he was asking about we were talking about a few different things. We were talking about some short form videos, and since you watch his channel, maybe you could hit him up on Discord and say, hey, I think this is something you could do in a clip, because he's saying, games don't always lend themselves to a short form little like TikTok 30-second, minute long clip. And I gave him an idea. I've seen some of his channel too, but I didn't remember it in the moment exactly what he does. So I was like, here's a general comment of like taking the clip and then going back and doing voiceover like you're a sports announcer and calling the shots because you already know what's happening. But since you definitely have watched and you definitely like Minecraft, maybe you could give him a few ideas on what he could clip and stuff.
Yeah. Well, and he records a lot of it live, like continuous. He doesn't do a lot of cuts. And so what I think would be great for some shorts is when something very unexpected happens and you can get your raw reaction to it. I think that would translate well to a short, personally. So.
And be safe out there tonight. I think he lives here in the same town that I live in. And it's overnight, it's gonna be okay, but before the sun comes up, Snowmageddon's starting, so be safe, dude.
Well,
safe.
And I mean, the South has a lot of mitigating factors for when it comes to snow. People around here,
it's called the South, and we don't do snow.
Yeah,
that's the only
you're right.
mitigating factor.
You're right. Like people make fun of Southern drivers in snow, which I mean, a lot of it's rightfully deserved, but they don't know how to drive in snow. Even
Nope.
I learned how to drive in Pennsylvania, so I have a lot more experience driving in snow than anyone here. But it's a lot more hilly here than a lot of places,
And shady.
and
Maybe we'll fall.
Well, and because we don't get snow often, the roads aren't treated as well as it would be in places that expect snow, and your wheels aren't. Like most people don't have snow tires, let alone any. Yeah, it's yeah. I my wife showed me a meme the other day. She's like, "Look, people, I know you want to talk about driving in the snow in the South, but how about you learn to drive when it's sunny in the summer before you talk about driving in the snow?"
No, I throw the flip side out of, oh, you guys can't drive in the snow. Yeah, you know how many of you Northerners I make fun of at Dragon Con? All of you are like, it's not that hot. Why are you acting like you're dying? It's so humid. Yeah, no kidding. We sweat in the wintertime, dummy. Get used to it. So, okay, it's evened out. All right, what's your sweet pipe?
All right, so this one is from Diva Site.
So I'm at work. I'm nestled in the back with the cybersecurity guy since they work pretty closely with me in the network. The lead cybersecurity guy, he's in his late 30s, and the two under him are in their we'll say early mid 20s. At the end of the day, I heard one of them ask him, "Hey, what do you think about, the old Saturday morning cartoons in the 80s?" And I couldn't help but listen to this. And he's like, "Well, what do you mean?" He's like, "Well, the anime, like Speed Racer." I hate to tell him Speed Racer was like back in the 70s, but okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I remember as a kid, so 70s definitely. Yeah. And so they're kind of going on and they're talking about this, and it was about some spoof, but I just couldn't help but laugh. Someone in their 20s asking about Saturday morning cartoons of the 80s, I'm thinking like He-Man and Transformers and such.
G.I.
Everything old is
Joe.
new eventually. In this case, it's a spoof, but it's what it is.
All right, Joe, sing it with me. Gummy bears, here and there, and everywhere.
See, I rarely got to see Gummy Bears because it was on the Disney Channel, and we only had the Disney Channel when they offered the month or the couple of weeks where it was free.
Yeah. I have no idea, honestly, if the cartoon holds up, but the song does. Every time I see it, I think Phil sent me the original opening the other day on TikTok, and I was like singing along. Then I went and found my bud Leo Moricoli, who does metal covers, and he has a metal cover of Gummy Bears. And there's nothing like hearing a really, he's from
Gummy Bears.
Yeah, but he's somewhere in Europe, so he even has that European hard accent on it. It's like, oh, this is so metal. Do more Gummy Bears. You are there. Yeah, anyway. Thank you, John, for that trip down.
I'm gonna have to look
lane.
up a metal version of the Smurfs intro.
Oh, I bet it's out there.
I bet it is too.
Now, I'll tell you, Frog Leap Studios, that's Leo Moricoli, and he covers just about everything because he just loves metal and he loves, and he's really good at it. And he plays all the instruments typically, depending on, I mean, he'll say if he brought somebody else in. Every song you've ever liked, if he's covered it, it's a little better. It's a little better than the original. I just tell you. So.
All right, you know what we might have to do for a question of the week, or maybe
what's your favorite cover?
Parliament of Paws, best '80s cartoon.
Ooh, that's gonna be a fight.
It will be.
Well,
that's why I think it would be, especially for the Parliament of Paws, where we have to determine for all time the winner.
So maybe go over to the tab and put that in notes while I play this one from Devocate.
So we got a lot of snow here through central Missouri.
Which, by the way, sorry, he labeled this one work at home, not a joke.
So we got a lot of snow here through central Missouri.
Misery.
Kind of whole central belt storm system this week. And I was stuck here and working from home. And I really like working from home for about the first day. After the second day, I can't take it. Third day, I'm just certifiable. I've got to get out. And on top of it, my family is stuck in here with me. And
I'm not here with you. You're in here with me.
I'm just not a work from home kind of a person unless everyone leaves. But there's too much of a rotating door here. I just can't do it. So, you guys that are work from home people, I give you a lot of credit. Now, I shouldn't say that. I did actually work from home on my last job towards the very end, but everyone knew to leave me alone because I was on the phone all the time. But this job, I don't have that. I'm ready. I'm willing to, take on the snow in my rear-wheel drive Mustang. I grew up in this. I can do it.
Said everybody a ditch ever.
Yeah, work from home isn't for everyone. I've got a nice situation because when I need people to leave me alone, I just close my door and lock it because I'm in a separate area. I'm down in the basement. To
the basement, do a lot of work in.
And I've got the family here because my kids are all homeschooled. So, there are definitely times where I just walk over, close the door, and lock it. And I'm like, yeah, leave me alone. So,
I'm sorry. While you're talking, I did that one little riff on Peaches about going to the basement of the record, and I stopped. My brain did not stop. Off the cuff, I wrote a parody of Peaches about you podcasting, and it just lost. That's why I'm laughing. I'm sorry. It's all up here in my head.
Yeah, and my work conveniently put out a little blurb today. So it used to be company policy that if the office was closed, as long as you weren't considered a teleworker, that means you had the day off, period. But now in this day and age where everyone is basically considered hybrid or full work from home, they're like, hey, unless you are supposed to be on the at work downtown. Just because the office is, our office is closed tomorrow. Just because the office is closed doesn't mean it's a day off. You need to work.
Yeah.
Please work. But yeah, no, it would suck trying to get to the office tomorrow, especially if we get the snow that they're saying we're gonna get, because it is a super steep hill to get. Well, I mean, you've seen it. We drove past it with that super steep hill to get to the parking garage there. Yeah, that would suck. It's about as steep as the hill to get out of my neighborhood, maybe a little bit steeper. And yeah, we don't. If there's snow, we don't go anywhere, because that hill to our neighborhood is a beast. Like everywhere else around here, I would be fine with driving in pretty much, but our neighborhood itself would suck. We got a bunch of snow. It's probably actually been about 10 years now, where people were sledding on the road because it's a big hill, but they didn't have to worry about cars, because there were about 6 cars that had crashed at the entrance to our subdivision, and it was completely blocked off. Yeah, no, people were abandoning their car left and right. Yeah, okay, 11 years ago. There we go. My wife chimed in. Yeah, my wife had actually been out and about and not planned correctly to get home in time. So she ended up, because the entire neighborhood was cut off because of the 6 cars that were piled up. She had to park in the neighborhood next door and walk about half a mile back to our house with
walked a half a mile uphill both ways barefoot in the snow just to get home.
But I mean, it most of it was uphill, but it wasn't barefoot. But she did have a stroller and a toddler and groceries, so I ended up walking and meeting her halfway and helping her the rest of the way. But yeah. But
yeah, I'm totally a work from home guy. I get so much more done here. It started when I got laid. Well, everybody else got laid off in this office. 2010. Everybody got laid off in this office. I was one of 3 people that got to work from home for the next 3 years, and it just suits, because that's what a producer does. I'm sitting here editing, I'm working, just leave me alone, zone out, making music, making shows, making whatever I'm doing. So to put work on that, work, TV over here. Of course, I would have consumed so much anime back then. I watched the entire season of Angel in like a week. So that's how much work.
Talk about an awesome opening song. I really like the Angel
that was
opening.
One of the best. John's talking about editing video. My God, his wife says, "My God, what did this take so long? Who has time and patience for this?" These guys, this is what we love.
Yeah, because he was talking about how he had to leave to edit the clip. But yeah,
honestly, me leaving just puts me into Dragon Con mode. I'm just always coaching, guiding, connecting, entertaining at my office. I don't get nearly as much done at my office as when I go, all right, today I'm gonna walk one. It's over an hour from my house to my office. So I lose 2 hours of drive time every day, but I'm on the phone doing things. But it's 5 minutes to walk across here. Nobody wants to come out here. And I just get so much done in my studio. So yeah, I get it though. Not everybody is built for that.
Roll that dice.
Oh, dear
Dad
Lord.
jokes are like Mojo Jojo. They're bad.
It's your favorite segment ever. And we have a dad joke from DevoSite. So let's go ahead and play it.
2 candles are on a table. One says to the other, "What are you doing tonight?" The other says, "I think I'm going out."
I can see it on your face. You were processing it. You were like, "What? I don't get it."
Going out where? Where's the punchline? Where are you going? What are you going to do? I don't understand. It's a dumb answer, Kendall. Yeah, no.
Oh, that dad joke was so lit. You're just like, no.
Not from a man who has not watched every single episode of Gilmore Girls and celebrated with Suki. That's all I can tell you. I so identify with Suki.
Is.
Oh yeah, who's Michelle? Who's Michelle? Not you. You're no Michelle. You couldn't even hold a candle to Michelle. All right.
I don't know who Michelle is.
Yeah, I got you, Kelsey. I introduced my wife to Gilmore Girls, and we watched it together. Just saying.
Suki's the cook. I know who Suki is.
Who's the actress?
Oh, I would recognize her, but yeah.
Of all the years,
she was in the female Ghostbusters, right?
Yeah. Come on, you're killing me, Joe. My go-to joke. Every time I want to get Phil or somebody, we're on, even Travis, we're talking about an actual thing. Like, oh, we'd recast this movie. I always slip it. Oh, you know who'd be great for this role? Melissa McCarthy. And everybody feels like, oh my God, stop. She's great.
I know who the angry French guy is. my wife's in the chat telling me.
Michelle.
Yeah, angry French guy.
Oh my God.
Roll that dice.
It's a great show, and if you like that, it can handle a little bit more kind of adult humor and stuff. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is done by Amy Sheridan Palladino, who wrote and directed all of Gilmore Girls. She's only done like 11 things in her career, but they're all epic like Gilmore Girls. The writing is on point. It is so good. What do we get?
So good. Chef's kiss.
No.
Council of Dad.
What is our parliament? A papas. Oh, ha ha. All right, Joe. Solving the problems of the world, one movie at a time, one argument at a time. Which one's better? They came out at the same time. Which one captures the end of the world, angsty teenage wilderness? Maze Runner versus Hunger Games.
So I have watched and read both of those.
All right.
I think Hunger Games has a stronger first book. I think Maze Runner has a stronger final book.
For those of us who aren't nerds, what about the movies? Although those are very nerdy movies.
So Hunger Games stuck to the books better than Maze Runner did. Maze Runner was fine, but they pivoted a lot from in the movies compared to the books. And don't even get me started.
Such a bookist.
And don't even get me started with Divergent. There's a reason why that series got completely canceled.
Nobody got started with Divergent.
Exactly.
Bubba. Nobody.
They went completely. It was. The books are actually really good.
We're only talking movies here. Most of us in this world have not read the books and seen the movies. So I appreciate you actualing me to death. But let's stick to the movies.
Okay, if we're sticking to the movies, then I'm going to have to give it to Hunger Games. The Hunger Games movies.
Steven goes, die. What now? You said Divergent because I know. I'm just making fun of it.
Yeah, he says, I just don't think it's memorable. The movies were not good for Divergent.
They did bad writing. I can't say the acting was bad if the writing starts off bad for the movies. Don't do the books.
The books are actually a million times better than the books or than the movies because they go completely off the rail.
As a former reader, I cannot tell you the last physical book. Oh, I can't tell you the last physical book I read. Southerland or whatever Bob Magoo calls his short stories book. That one I'm reading. But other than that, I listen to books and I watch movies. So yes, my books are almost always better than movies. Back to Hunger Games versus Maze Runner. For me, all day long. What do you think I'm going to say?
I think you're going to say Maze Runner.
You're absolutely right. Maze Runner. From start to finish, you didn't see the twist coming. It didn't harp on one thing. It didn't rehash old tropes. It just started and it kept going and you kept wondering what was going to happen next. And then it took you to the next level with the next movie. And then it all made sense. I enjoyed Hunger Games, but it was post-apocalyptic, right? Coliseum, Gladiator, whatever stuff. So, I mean, it was fine. It is entertaining and well written, but it's just rehashed every time they hit it back, right? Hunger Games, Mockingjay. Yeah, it's
See, and I haven't
Maze
seen the
Runner was
prequel
just-
that they put out yet either on that
I
one.
haven't seen that one yet either. It looks fun, kind of. I mean, it looks entertaining is what I mean to say. Fun is not what these movies, any of these movies, these movies are not fun. They're very like, they're supposed to be anxiety driven, you know, action. For me, Maze Runner, just from the premise all the way through, just held for me. I loved it.
Yeah, and the issue with Maze Runner is because I've read the books, to be completely honest.
Sure.
And so I see what it could have been versus what it was. And so if you liked the movies that much, you might consider giving the books a listen to on audiobook form or whatnot.
Sure, yeah, I might do that.
Because they diverted quite a bit. I mean, every movie diverts from the books at some
And you
to some
kind of
degree.
have to, right?
I think one of the most scene by scene adaptations that I've ever read versus watched is probably the newest Dune and Dune 2. And it's because they took one book and split it into two movies, and they did painstakingly do scene to scene. They cut very little from the
But I
book.
was going to say, I guarantee they still cut something. You almost have to with these movies.
With that one, they cut some things that logistically would have been a problem. So because from Dune 2, they cut out. They transformed it into something different. They took a character who was supposed to be a little girl. This you've seen the movie, right?
Yeah.
You know how you see those scenes of the sister?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of that is her as a little girl talking. And so they, instead of doing that, they cut it into her consciousness talking while she's still in the womb. And so they still got the essence of it, just not the same way, which logistically finding a super young actress that could convincingly play, I mean, I guess they could try to motion capture it with Andy Serkis, but
you in the circus, man, just run away to Andy. Come on.
But back to Hunger Games and Maze Runner. Hunger Games does fall flat on the last book, but as far as the movies go, I did enjoy them a bit more than Maze Runner.
Kind of felt flat too, but
it does.
It's, again, entertaining. You know, you can definitely come at us. WNNshow@gmail.com. We'll read all the complaints for sure.
Especially if you're a Divergent diehard and you absolutely love the movies. Come at us, because they weren't.
They weren't. They weren't. I'm so sorry. I'm glad you liked them, but just like I mock my children for liking Panda Express doesn't mean it's good just because you like it. All right, Joe. It is getting colder. The clouds are rolling in. We're all staying home tomorrow and probably through the weekend. So, Daddy, tell me a story about the worst weather you've ever experienced.
Whew. It's got to be a hurricane that happened to me when I was in 6th grade.
Did it rock you?
My school decided that they didn't want to cancel school, and one of my So
okay, set the scene. What state were you in?
Pennsylvania.
All right.
And
y'all don't really get many hurricanes. So what?
And I think technically it had just barely dropped down to a tropical storm by the time it hit us, just barely. But one of my teachers, my history teacher, had told us, because we had an assignment due, a project due that day. It was a Friday, and he told us that if we did not show up to school, if school wasn't canceled and we didn't show up with our project, that he'd automatically fail us for that project. And so I went to school, I packed up, we ended up getting dismissed halfway through the day because of all of the extreme flooding. I rode the bus. The bus couldn't even drop me off at my house because of the flooding. And so they ended up dropping me off probably about a mile, half a mile from my house, and so I'm walking in calf high water at times up to my knee. For half a mile up to my house, I had an umbrella, not that it helped any, because by the time I got home, it was completely inverted. And so I get home, I set down my stuff, and I'm like, oh, shoot, my little brother isn't home yet from elementary school. So where they dropped me off was actually closer to the elementary school than my school. So I trudged completely back in the same direction to go get my brother and make sure he got home safely. So I'm basically swimming up the street to get home. And I'm happy that there wasn't any like flooding in our house, but it got pretty dang close. My uncle, his house, his basement flooded, and so he had to pump out all the water and dry everything out and throw out all the stuff that got ruined and whatnot, because his basement was it filled up to a little above my knee with just grody runoff water. But yeah, that's probably the worst weather experience that I've had.
I honestly did not see that story coming, even though I think you told me that one before. I kind of expected a snowy I went camping in the ice igloo, whatever. I don't know.
No, see, snow wasn't ever bad because I would grab the snow shovel and walk around and make money. I just say, hey, I'll shovel your drive. What do you think it's worth? And so there was one time where me and my cousins, we made about $50 each, plus a thing of tasty cakes. They're like, here, take these too. And we're like, okay. And so, it was the three of us. So, I mean, we made $150, which for an early teenager is pretty good. So, I mean, split three ways, $50, but still.
That's expensive clearing my driveway.
Oh, we cleared about 6 or 7 driveways.
Oh, okay.
So,
all right. I was thinking like one driver, like, I don't want to pay anybody to do $10 to do my yard mowing, much less $50 to clean my driveway. So,
well, we kind of just let them set the prices. So we were paid anywhere from $10 to $40, and we cleared about 6 or 7 driveways. Nice.
So when it flooded, you didn't go out with your flamethrower. Say, would you like me to evaporate the water off your driveway? So, all right, my worst weather is snow based. It is my wife was pregnant with our first son, and we had a dog or two at the time, little one, and we owned our house, and it was out in this neighborhood where you couldn't really, it's rare. Of course, we've already established it's very rare in Georgia that it snows. And you want to talk about the hill in your neighborhood. My driveway was 45 degrees to get to the road. Like, we're up at the top of the hill, down, and then to go down the road and get out of the neighborhood is another 45-degree road to go up. And at that time, for our adult lives, that was probably the worst close to blizzard that Georgia had at the time. This is
it the blizzard of 93?
No. We were not together in 93, Joe. That would have been gross. I was in high school and she was in middle school. Come on.
I mean, whatever. You do you.
All right, 51. You made me lose my track. All right. So I was full-time paramedic, and we knew some weather was coming in. We had cell phones for sure. But they were early days. I think it's Nextels or Verizons or whatever. House phone still.
Was it a Nokia? The brick?
Could have been. I don't remember. It was definitely in that era. 2004-ish. And I was already scheduled for a 48-hour shift. So 2 days gone, right? And I'm at work, and it's starting to come down a little bit, starting to do whatever it does. And, I'm talking to my wife, different things. Go to sleep that night, and the next day, overnight, where the house was, of course, high winds, all the stuff, trees knocking around, this snow, whatever, ice on the power lines go down. No house phone, no way to contact out, no real heat. But we had a little walk-in closet, so that's basically what she did. She took the dogs and put blankets in a walk-in closet and just a little space, and was fine. But no phone lines, and the cell phone towers did not hold. So for 40, well, not quite, so 36, for about 36 hours, couldn't get a hold of her. She couldn't get a hold of me. No signals. I'm at work, warm and cozy, no problems with the power at all, but couldn't reach her, this and that and the other. And I come home, and she's just a mess. She spent a day and a half with no power, no way to get out of the neighborhood, no way to contact anybody. It was not good. We literally got in the car, went to the mall, because that's where you went for cell phones, and swapped cell phone service immediately to get better service at our house. That would never happen again. On that same 48-hour shift. Now, this is when in my adult life, and the time that I'm paying attention to it, right? Because as kids, you're like, oh, snow, you just go out and play. But I'm a working adult, whatever. We got forced, which we should have said no. Everybody should have said no, to take this transport from where we were in the countryside an hour and a half up the road to Atlanta, which would have been normal weather. But Georgia State Patrol had actually shut down I-20. You know, when you get an interstate shut down, that's major, right? And just all backers, no GPS, by the way, at this time. You don't have GPS on your phone. You don't have Waze.
Yeah, you got to map quest it. Print out those directions.
Yeah. So, but guess what, Joe? You're being funny, but also you're right. That's exactly what you had to do. But
pull out the atlas from under the passenger side.
We didn't have that in our trucks, and that would have been very. I know how to read one.
Oh, we growing up, we had an atlas in all of our cars underneath.
You didn't work in a cheap ambulance service, sir. We didn't have crap, and we were forced to do this dumb transport, and so it took us like 10 hours round trip to go an hour and a half. Well, I guess it'd be a 3-hour round trip normally, because we kept we're trying to get on the interstate to go to the Atlanta to get to the hospital. And State Patrol's like, we don't care that you're an ambulance. You cannot go through here. It was just a struggle bus the whole time. And nothing bad happened. It was all fine. But that was our, we didn't get dirty water in our boots or whatever it was, but it was not a great experience for her. That was the most alone I think she's been in her entire life. She couldn't get a hold of her mom, couldn't get a hold of me. Nobody could get a hold of her. You couldn't go check on her. It was what people who are listening to us in Montana call a Saturday. So there's that. John, most states give maps. Stop telling me how to do my job in the past, people.
It's true. You go to the welcome center and just get a map.
I've tried to teach my kids some map reading skills because I think it's fun. I think it's great to be able to pull everybody.
Well,
yes, I
it's
use
a
GPS
good skill to have.
It is. I do use GPS all the time, but I also will zoom that map out and use it like an atlas. Okay, I can see the road. I can see this. I can make my route around things.
And because I grew up using an actual map, I have my GPS set to where it's always north is up. I don't let it follow the direction that I'm going.
Oh, I like the direction I'm going. It's just, it works for me.
It's a personal thing. Yeah.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. I get that. And Random Kid says, my sister was living in Hawaii and it got hit by a hurricane. Her whole neighborhood evacuated to a church up on a hill. And he says, I bet that sucked. Yeah, going to church up on the hill always sucks. You're right, sir. So and that's why Joe was off last week because he's up at Hill Church. All right, Daddy-O's, we love you all. Come back next week for some more shenanigans.
Follow these nerdy dads on social media. Charles at Rock God of Podcasting. Joe at Joseph_Ard. Check out the website, wiseandnerdy.com. And as always, they may not be your father, but they'll always be your daddy.
And VO by Kurt, someday, somewhere, somehow.
But not next week.
But not next week. Chill out, brah.